So I've got a couple of slabs of rock maple here, and this is the way I buy it. Rough sawn, 8 inches wide by 2 inches thick. Now if you're after a quarter sawn neck blank, you can actually take a flat sawn slab, and if you have the width you can create a quarter sawn neck blank from it. It will be a two-piece neck blank, but certainly it's quite easy to do. Now I have enough wood here to get 2 quarter sawn neck blanks. First thing I'll do is take this over to the bandsaw. I want to cut it right down the middle, separate it into 2 separate pieces. Now we've got these split in 2, I can take one of these over to the jointer. I want to joint one face flat, and then I want to joint one side flat. So we've now got 2 sides jointed. I'm now going to pass this through my drum sander, and I'm going to bring this face down parallel with the bottom, and then I'm going to flip it this way and I pass it through again. I'm going to bring this face down parallel with this side. So basically we're just squaring it up. So we've got all this squared up now, and if you look at the sides you'll see that it's flat sawn. You've got the typical cathedral patterns that you see on flat sawn timber. If you flip it onto the other edges, you can see we've got the beautiful quarter sawn straight grain. So you can see the grain is flat sawn in that direction, but if we flip it up this way it becomes quarter sawn. So if I just slice that down the middle and then I glue them together, we will then have a blank that's quarter sawn. We'll just mark this and then we can take it to the bandsaw. So now we just separate those and glue them together like that. We will need to rejoint those inside faces to get a nice glue joint, but you can see the effect. We now have a quarter sawn neck blank. So this is overly thick at the moment. We're at about 23mm. So apart from jointing the inside faces so I can glue this together, I'm not going to touch it until it's all glued up, and then I can mill both sides nice and flat down to final thickness of 3/4 of an inch. You can see our grain is all running upwards now. So in effect we've taken some flat sawn timber, we've cut it up strategically, glued it back together again as quarter sawn. So here's the finished result. We've got a beautiful quarter sawn neck blank, and we've just treated it the same way as we would any other neck blank. The truss rod is routed right on the glue join, so we will have the join, the seam, running right up the centre of the neck. Glue joint is stronger than the timber itself, so there's no harm in doing that. So now we've seen how we can make a quarter sawn neck blank, we can actually build on that concept, and that is we can glue a decorative strip down the middle. I've got some dyed black maple veneer, which is about 20/1000 of an inch, very thin. Now if I take a strip of that and I glue that in the middle, we end up with a really nice pinstripe effect. If we take it a step further, we add a piece of maple in the middle, strip of black veneer there, and a strip of black veneer there, and we sandwich it all together, and then we end up with a really classy little strip up the middle of the neck there. So I'll mix up some West Systems epoxy. I like to use epoxy when I'm gluing multiple pieces together for a neck. When I'm laminating, 4 or 5 pieces together, I prefer to use epoxy rather than the yellow glue, PVA type glue. I just find it is more stable for this type of neck. I don't want any movement at all when we have multiple pieces of wood in a neck, so my preference is to use epoxy. So this is now glued up overnight, and I just need to level this surface. So when you do a glue up like this, it's very hard to glue it up and have it perfectly level. In this case, my maple strip in the middle is just a little bit lower than the rest of the surrounding wood. This face will need to be jointed nice and flat, and then I can flip it over and I can put it through the drum sander and I can level out the other face.